A moment arrives when the heart is touched by a meaning it did not summon, yet cannot escape. It comes without explanation, without urgency, and without demand, settling quietly in the space where attention usually passes too quickly. Nothing outward signals its importance, yet something inward recognizes its weight. This is not imagination, nor passing emotion, but a subtle clarity that appears before thought can interfere. The heart often tries to move past such moments, mistaking their softness for insignificance. Yet what arrives gently is often what reshapes direction most deeply. In this still encounter, nothing is asked of you except honesty of attention. What you notice here does not need to be acted upon immediately, but it does need to be seen. Remain present, because paths are not always altered by dramatic events or loud warnings. Sometimes a life turns because of a quiet inner recognition, and everything that follows begins to align around whether that recognition was honored or ignored. Meaning does not arrive as a conclusion reached by effort, but as a gentle contact that precedes understanding. The heart feels it before the mind becomes aware, as if something has brushed against its inner surface. This contact does not explain itself or demand response. It simply settles, leaving behind a quiet certainty that something real has occurred. The heart recognizes this touch instinctively. Recognition happens without language. Meaning announces itself through presence alone. When meaning touches the heart, time seems to soften rather than stop. Moments continue to pass, yet something feels gathered inwardly. The heart senses that what has arrived belongs to now, not to later reflection. This immediacy distinguishes meaning from thought. Thought can wait, meaning cannot. It lives only where attention is present. The heart feels invited rather than instructed. This touch does not feel dramatic or overwhelming. Its strength lies in its subtlety. What is loud competes for attention. What is quiet relies on sincerity. Meaning trusts the heart to notice without coercion. The absence of force makes it easy to overlook, yet the heart that pauses senses depth beneath the softness. Depth reveals itself through stillness. Meaning touches the heart when defenses are relaxed. It arrives through openness rather than striving. The heart may be occupied outwardly, yet inwardly receptive. This receptivity allows contact without preparation. Meaning does not wait for readiness. It appears when openness briefly exists. The heart discovers it was ready without knowing. The touch of meaning carries weight without pressure. It does not burden the heart, it grounds it. Grounding feels stabilizing rather than restrictive. The heart feels steadier, not heavier. This steadiness arises because something aligns quietly. Alignment does not require explanation to be effective. It works beneath awareness. Meaning touches the heart before choice appears. It precedes decision and intention. In this way, direction is shaped prior to action. The heart senses orientation without knowing where it leads. Orientation itself feels significant. Movement follows later, shaped by what has already been felt. The moment of contact quietly determines the path. The heart often attempts to interpret meaning too quickly. Interpretation introduces distance. Distance weakens immediacy. Meaning prefers to be held rather than analyzed. Holding preserves depth. The heart learns that not everything needs to be understood to be honored. Honor lies in attention. When meaning touches the heart, resistance may appear afterward, not before. Resistance arises from fear of consequence. Consequence suggests change. Change unsettles familiarity. Yet meaning does not insist on immediate change. It simply asks not to be dismissed. The heart negotiates internally, testing whether it can stay present. Meaning does not repeat itself endlessly. It may return, but never in the same way. Each touch carries a specific invitation. Ignoring one alters how the next appears. The heart learns attentiveness through response. Attention deepens with recognition. Recognition strengthens capacity. This touch does not belong to emotion alone. Emotion may accompany it, but meaning remains when emotion fades. The heart distinguishes between passing feeling and enduring contact. Meaning leaves a trace even when sensation dissolves. This trace guides perception subtly. The heart carries it forward unconsciously. Meaning touches the heart in ordinary settings. It does not require special conditions. Its ordinariness disguises its importance. The heart may be engaged in routine, yet something interrupts inwardly. This interruption does not break activity, it reframes it. Ordinary moments reveal depth. The heart senses that meaning has arrived when distraction feels inappropriate. Noise becomes intrusive. Movement feels excessive. Stillness becomes appealing. This shift signals inner alignment. Alignment draws the heart inward gently. Meaning stabilizes attention naturally. The touch of meaning does not isolate the heart from others. It deepens connection by clarifying presence. The heart feels more itself, not less. Identity becomes quieter. Quiet identity allows authentic engagement. Meaning integrates rather than separates. Meaning arrives without moral weight. It does not accuse or praise. It simply reveals. Revelation feels neutral yet significant. The heart is trusted with what it sees. Trust carries responsibility without pressure. The heart responds according to its readiness. This moment often passes quickly if not held. Speed of life can carry attention away. Yet the heart remembers that something was shown. Memory lingers as subtle discomfort or quiet pull. This pull invites return. Meaning waits patiently for acknowledgement. Meaning touches the heart in layers. The first contact reveals only enough to awaken attention. Further clarity unfolds through continued presence. Presence allows meaning to deepen. Ignoring interrupts this unfolding. The heart learns patience by staying. The touch of meaning refines perception. What once felt unclear begins to orient itself. Orientation does not demand certainty. It provides direction without detail. The heart trusts direction more than explanation. Trust sustains movement. Meaning does not replace freedom. It respects it. The heart remains free to turn away. Turning away does not erase meaning. It delays its integration. Integration depends on willingness. Willingness begins with attention. When meaning touches the heart, sincerity awakens. Sincerity does not announce itself. It appears as quiet honesty. The heart feels less inclined to perform or pretend. Authenticity emerges without effort. Meaning stabilizes authenticity. This touch reveals that guidance often arrives before questions are formed. The heart is shown what matters before it asks why. Asking comes later. Meaning leads inquiry, not the other way around. The heart follows what has been revealed. The moment meaning touches the heart is not an event to be captured, but a contact to be honored. It shapes direction silently. Whether it bears fruit depends on attention. The heart that notices without rushing allows meaning to complete its work. Awareness deepens simply by staying with what has been touched. Attention is rarely demanded by truth. It is invited quietly and left unguarded. What arrives without force tests sincerity rather than obedience. The heart is not compelled to turn. It is given space to choose. This freedom reveals where attention naturally rests. What is forced may produce reaction, but what is offered reveals orientation. The test lies in noticing without pressure. Attention shows its loyalty in silence. When attention is tested, nothing outward insists on importance. Life continues uninterrupted. Tasks remain waiting, sounds continue, and movement flows. Yet something subtle asks whether the heart will pause. This pause is not enforced. It appears as a possibility rather than a command. The heart's response reveals its readiness. Readiness cannot be performed. The test of attention occurs because truth respects freedom. Compulsion would distort recognition. What is seen under pressure is not fully seen. Attention given freely carries sincerity. The heart that turns without being pushed turns honestly. Honesty matters more than speed. This is why the invitation remains gentle. Attention is tested through subtlety because subtlety cannot be faked. Loud signs attract reflex. Quiet ones require willingness. The heart must choose to stay rather than react. Staying reveals depth. Leaving preserves habit. The test is not about endurance, but inclination. Inclination reveals priority. The heart often expects guidance to arrive with urgency. When urgency is absent, attention drifts. This drift exposes attachment to stimulation. Truth does not stimulate, it stabilizes. Stabilization feels less exciting. The heart must decide whether it values clarity over excitement. Attention answers this question silently. When attention is tested, resistance often follows recognition. Resistance does not deny what was seen, it delays engagement. Delay feels harmless because nothing collapses immediately. Yet delay shapes orientation. The heart learns where it stands by what it postpones. Attention is revealed by timing. The test of attention unfolds slowly. There is no countdown, no threat, no loss announced. What remains is choice without consequence made visible. This invisibility makes the test honest. The heart cannot perform for an audience. Only inward truth responds. Attention is tested when the heart senses importance without explanation. Explanation would justify attention. Without justification, attention must arise from sincerity alone. This sincerity is rare. It cannot be demanded. It appears when the heart values truth more than comfort. The absence of force protects the heart's dignity. The heart is not coerced into alignment. Alignment that arises freely remains stable. Stability grows from consent. Consent emerges through attention. The test preserves freedom while offering direction. Attention is tested through repetition. What is missed once returns differently. Each return offers another opening. The heart learns through response patterns. Patterns reveal preference. Préférence détermine direction quietly. The heart often mistakes lack of urgency for lack of importance. Importance here does not depend on intensity, it depends on depth. Depth rarely announces itself. Attention must descend to meet it. The test lies in willingness to descend. When attention is tested, the heart may seek distraction. Distraction masks choice by filling space. Filled space leaves no room for noticing. Yet even distraction reveals something. It shows where attention flees. Fleeing teaches its own lesson. The test does not measure endurance, it measures honesty. How the heart behaves when nothing demands attention reveals its true alignment. Forced attention collapses under pressure. Honest attention remains without pressure. Truth waits for honesty. Attention is tested because truth values relationship over compliance. Relationship requires presence. Presence cannot be forced. It must be offered. The heart learns that being present is itself the response. Nothing more is required. The heart may fear that giving attention will demand immediate change. This fear feeds avoidance. Yet attention alone does not command action. It invites clarity. Clarity prepares movement. The test lies in staying with clarity without rushing. When attention is tested, silence plays a role. Silence removes distraction without imposing direction. In silence, the heart hears itself more clearly. What it chooses then matters. Silence reveals allegiance. Attention is tested because meaning unfolds gradually. Immediate grasping would distort perception. Gradual unfolding allows integration. Attention supports integration by remaining steady. The heart learns patience through this process. The test of attention refines perception. What is ignored becomes harder to notice later. What is noticed becomes easier to recognize. Attention sharpens through practice. Practice happens through response to subtle invitations. The heart may not recognize the test as a test. It feels ordinary. Ordinary moments carry the deepest revelations. Attention in ordinary moments reveals true orientation. Extraordinary moments distract from this honesty. Attention is tested without judgment. There is no penalty for looking away. The consequence appears later as distance or clarity. Distance feels natural when unnoticed. Clarity feels stabilizing when welcomed. The test protects truth from misuse. What is forced can be manipulated. What is chosen freely remains intact. Attention given without force honors what is seen. Honor preserves depth. When attention is tested rather than forced, the heart reveals itself. What it turns toward shapes its path quietly. No witness records this moment, yet it decides direction. Attention chooses without announcement, and the heart follows where it has already agreed to look. The inner nudge does not arrive as instruction, but as inclination, a slight turning felt before thought can claim it. The heart senses a subtle redirection without knowing its reason. This nudge carries no urgency, yet it holds authority. Authority here is not imposed, it is recognized. The heart feels guided without being told where to go. Direction begins before movement. This nudge often appears at the edge of habit, where routine would normally continue uninterrupted. It introduces a pause that feels unnecessary to the mind. The mind prefers continuity, but the heart recognizes interruption as meaningful. In that brief hesitation, a different possibility becomes visible. The nudge does not argue, it waits. Waiting preserves freedom. The heart experiences the nudge as a quiet preference rather than a demand. It feels like choosing one step over another without justification. Justification belongs to the mind, orientation belongs to the heart. This distinction gives the nudge its power. It bypasses debate and reaches sincerity. Sincerity responds naturally. The inner nudge changes the path because it alters orientation before action. Action follows inclination effortlessly. When inclination shifts, the entire trajectory adjusts. The heart may not notice the change immediately. Effects unfold gradually. What seems insignificant at first reshapes outcomes later. The nudge arrives without fear. Fear would distort choice. Its calmness invites trust. Trust allows the heart to lean without certainty. Leaning creates movement. Movement confirms direction only after it has begun. The heart learns through walking. This inner guidance does not eliminate alternatives. Alternatives remain visible. What changes is attraction. One option feels lighter, quieter, and more aligned. Alignment is sensed, not explained. The heart chooses what feels coherent. Coherence stabilizes direction. The nudge often appears when the heart is momentarily still. Stillness creates sensitivity. Sensitivity allows perception. Perception reveals inclination. The heart recognizes itself in this recognition. The path shifts because identity shifts slightly. Identity guides movement. The inner nudge does not seek validation. Seeking validation would weaken it. Its strength lies in its independence from approval. The heart trusts it not because it is proven, but because it resonates. Resonance signals truth without evidence. The heart responds honestly. This guidance does not repeat endlessly. It may return, but only while attention remains available. Repeated neglect dulls sensitivity. Sensitivity must be maintained through presence. Presence sharpens recognition. The nudge depends on this sharpness. The heart sometimes confuses the nudge with hesitation. Hesitation feels uncertain. The nudge feels certain without clarity. This certainty without clarity is distinctive. It carries assurance without detail. The heart learns to distinguish through experience. The nudge does not promise ease. It promises alignment. Alignment may involve challenge. Challenge feels different when chosen freely. The heart accepts difficulty more readily when direction feels true. Truth lightens effort. This guidance often contradicts expectation. Expectation is shaped by past patterns. The nudge invites departure from pattern. Departure feels risky. Risk awakens attention. Attention brings awareness. Awareness sustains courage. The inner nudge changes the path by changing what the heart values. Value determines priority. Priority determines action. Action determines destination. The entire sequence shifts quietly. The heart does not announce the change. It lives it. The nudge is subtle because subtlety preserves dignity. Loud commands would overpower choice. The heart must consent. Consent strengthens commitment. Commitment stabilizes direction. Stability carries the heart forward. This guidance does not isolate the heart from others. It aligns the heart with itself. Alignment improves relationship by clarifying presence. The heart becomes more authentic. Authenticity reshapes interaction naturally. The nudge often appears before clarity arrives. Clarity follows response. Responding without clarity feels risky, yet this risk deepens trust. Trust reveals understanding later. The heart learns patience through movement. The inner nudge does not guarantee visible success. Success belongs to outcome. The nudge concerns alignment. Alignment may not be rewarded immediately. The heart accepts this when sincerity deepens. Depth sustains commitment. This guidance arises from within, yet it does not belong to the ego. The ego seeks control. The nudge dissolves control gently. The heart follows without dominance. Following here feels natural, not submissive. The nudge changes the path because it interrupts momentum. Momentum carries the heart unconsciously. Interruption restores choice. Choice restores responsibility. Responsibility restores awareness. Awareness reshapes the journey. The heart may recognize the nudge only in hindsight. Looking back reveals the moment everything turned. Recognition arrives after effect. Effect confirms guidance. The heart learns to trust future nudges more readily. The inner nudge teaches the heart how to listen without demanding explanation. Listening becomes a skill. Skill refines perception. Perception clarifies direction. The heart grows attuned to subtle guidance. The inner nudge changes the path not by force, but by invitation. The heart accepts or declines freely. Acceptance realigns the journey. Decline maintains habit. The path is decided in silence, and the heart follows where it has already leaned. Loud signs capture attention through force, but subtle awareness shapes direction through intimacy. What is loud competes with noise. What is subtle slips beneath it. The heart often trusts what startles more than what whispers. Yet what startles fades quickly, while what whispers remains. Subtle awareness does not seek dominance. It waits for receptivity rather than reaction. Loud signs overwhelm the senses and demand interpretation. Subtle awareness bypasses interpretation and settles directly into knowing. The heart feels aligned before it understands why. This alignment does not excite. It steadies. Steadiness proves more reliable than intensity. What steadies remains long after stimulation dissolves. The heart learns early to respond to urgency. Urgency feels important because it disrupts normal flow. Subtle awareness does not disrupt, it reorients quietly. Because it does not interrupt, it is often underestimated. Yet what does not interrupt can redirect more deeply. Direction shifts where attention lingers, not where it is shocked. Loud signs appeal to fear or hope. Subtle awareness appeals to honesty. Fear and hope provoke reaction. Honesty invites presence. Presence carries depth. The heart matures when it values depth over reaction. Subtle awareness cultivates this maturity patiently. Loud signs impose meaning from the outside. Subtle awareness reveals meaning from within. What is imposed may be resisted. What is revealed feels natural. The heart trusts what arises from within more deeply. This trust stabilizes response. Stability shapes lasting direction. Subtle awareness does not announce itself as guidance. It appears as a simple noticing. Noticing feels insignificant to the busy mind, yet this noticing accumulates power through consistency. The heart begins to orient around what it quietly sees. Loud signs fade, subtle awareness integrates. The mind prefers loud signs because they reduce responsibility. Reaction replaces choice. Subtle awareness restores responsibility by offering choice without pressure. The heart must decide whether to remain attentive. This decision reveals sincerity. Sincerity shapes the journey more than reaction ever could. Loud signs divide attention between message and emotion. Subtle awareness unifies attention quietly. The heart feels whole rather than pulled. Wholeness clarifies perception. Clarity reduces confusion. The path becomes simpler without becoming shallow. Subtle awareness works slowly because it respects freedom. Freedom cannot be forced. Loud signs bypass freedom by overwhelming it. Overwhelm produces compliance, not alignment. Alignment arises through recognition. Recognition emerges through subtle awareness. The heart often waits for confirmation through external events. Subtle awareness does not confirm, it reveals. Revelation feels complete without validation. The heart learns to trust inner coherence. Coherence stabilizes choice. Stability carries the heart forward steadily. Loud signs fade once their emotional charge dissipates. Subtle awareness persists because it does not rely on emotion. It remains accessible in calm and disturbance alike. The heart finds reliability in this persistence. Reliability builds trust. Trust deepens attention. Subtle awareness refines perception gradually. Each small noticing sharpens sensitivity. Sensitivity allows finer discernment. Discernment reduces confusion. Loud signs bypass discernment by forcing conclusion. Subtle awareness preserves nuance. The heart that learns to value subtle awareness becomes less reactive. Reactivity belongs to noise. Awareness belongs to presence. Presence expands inner space. Space allows thoughtful response. Response shapes destiny quietly. Loud signs can mislead by appearing meaningful simply because they are intense. Subtle awareness cannot mislead because it does not persuade. It only shows. The heart sees without being pushed. Seeing freely carries integrity. Integrity grounds movement. Subtle awareness trains the heart to listen beneath surface activity. Listening beneath requires patience. Patience reveals layers previously unnoticed. These layers carry truth. Truth unfolds gradually. Loud signs obscure layers by collapsing complexity. The heart grows resilient through subtle awareness. Resilience arises from familiarity with inner signals. Loud signs shock. Subtle awareness strengthens. Strength allows steadiness under change. The heart adapts without losing orientation. Subtle awareness does not promise certainty, it offers clarity sufficient for the next step. The heart learns to move without needing full maps. This trust deepens reliance on presence. Presence guides moment by moment. Loud signs often create dependence. The heart waits for the next signal. Subtle awareness fosters independence. The heart becomes attuned rather than dependent. Attunement allows continuous guidance. Guidance flows without interruption. The heart learns that what is subtle requires cultivation. Cultivation demands attention over time. Attention grows through willingness. Willingness deepens awareness. Loud signs bypass cultivation but leave nothing lasting. Subtle awareness aligns the heart with reality rather than expectation. Expectation seeks confirmation. Reality reveals itself quietly. Alignment with reality stabilizes the soul. Stability supports wisdom. The heart begins to notice that subtle awareness carries a sense of rightness without urgency. Rightness does not rush. It waits patiently. Loud signs rush because they depend on reaction. Subtle awareness depends on trust. Subtle awareness outweighs loud signs because it transforms the heart rather than startling it. Transformation occurs through recognition, not force. What is recognized becomes part of being. The heart moves according to what it has quietly seen. Direction follows awareness that was gentle enough to be trusted. The risk of letting the moment pass does not announce itself as loss, but as continuation. Life moves on smoothly, uninterrupted, and nothing appears broken. This smoothness creates the illusion that nothing essential was missed, yet what was offered belonged to timing rather than opportunity. Timing, once gone, reshapes how truth may appear again. The heart senses this only later when clarity feels harder to reach. When the moment passes, awareness does not vanish, but it withdraws slightly. This withdrawal is subtle, almost imperceptible. The heart adapts quickly, convincing itself that another opening will arrive in the same form. Yet each opening carries its own shape. What is delayed does not return unchanged. The heart learns this through distance, not instruction. The risk lies in familiarity. Familiarity with postponement dulls urgency. What is postponed repeatedly loses its weight. The heart becomes practiced in delay. Delay reshapes sensitivity. Sensitivity once protected alignment. Without it, orientation softens quietly. Letting the moment pass teaches the heart to trust habit over insight. Habit feels reliable because it repeats. Insight disrupts repetition. The heart often chooses what feels stable over what feels revealing. Stability without awareness becomes stagnation. Stagnation feels safe until movement is required. When the moment passes, memory replaces immediacy. Memory comforts but does not guide. The heart remembers what was shown without standing in it. This remembering lacks the power of presence. Presence transforms, memory preserves. Preservation without transformation leaves direction unchanged. The risk is not punishment, but dulling. Dulling reduces responsiveness. The heart hears less clearly. What once felt obvious now feels distant. Distance does not alarm immediately. It grows quietly through adaptation. Adaptation normalizes absence. The passing of the moment does not remove choice, it narrows it. Later, decisions feel heavier. What could have been adjusted gently now demands greater effort. The heart wonders why movement feels strained. Strain reveals missed ease. Ease belonged to earlier attentiveness. The heart often believes that nothing significant hinges on a single inward notice. This belief minimizes the power of subtle recognition, yet direction is rarely altered by dramatic acts. It is shaped by small acknowledgements honored consistently. Ignoring one weakens the next. Letting the moment pass trains the heart to overlook itself. Overlooking becomes habitual. Habitual overlooking makes inward life shallow. Shallow awareness cannot support depth. Depth requires attention given when invited. Invitation does not wait indefinitely. The risk lies in delayed honesty. Honesty postponed becomes avoidance disguised as patience. Patience carries awareness. Avoidance carries distraction. The heart confuses the two. Confusion maintains comfort at the cost of clarity. When the moment passes, the heart may feel relief. Relief comes from avoiding discomfort. This relief feels harmless, yet discomfort was not the threat. Avoidance was. What was avoided returns later, in heavier form. The heart recognizes this only in hindsight. The passing moment teaches the heart what it values. What is valued receives attention. What is neglected fades. This valuation shapes character quietly. Character determines response long before conscious choice. The risk accumulates invisibly. Letting the moment pass also affects trust. Trust in inner guidance weakens when it is ignored. The heart becomes uncertain whether to listen again. Doubt enters where confidence once lived. Confidence had grown through response, not certainty. The risk is compounded by speed. Life's pace carries attention forward relentlessly. Without deliberate pause, moments slip unnoticed. Noticing requires willingness to slow. Slowing resists momentum. Momentum prefers continuation. The heart may promise itself future attentiveness. Future attention feels generous, yet attention belongs to now. Now is where recognition occurs. Later belongs to imagination. The heart learns too late that intention without presence lacks power. Letting the moment pass reshapes perception of importance. What was once meaningful now feels optional. Optional attention rarely transforms. Transformation requires commitment. Commitment begins with honoring the moment of recognition. The risk does not erase mercy. Mercy remains, but its form changes. What once arrived softly may arrive more firmly later. The heart experiences this firmness as difficulty. Difficulty reveals earlier ease that was missed. Awareness grows through contrast. The heart may grow accustomed to living without inward adjustment. This accustomed state feels normal. Normality hides loss effectively. Loss without pain is hardest to detect. The risk deepens quietly. Letting the moment pass affects not only direction, but intimacy. Intimacy requires presence. Presence requires attention. Attention was invited. Ignoring the invitation delays closeness. Closeness does not vanish, it waits. The risk lies in accumulation rather than consequence. Each missed moment adds weight. Weight builds slowly. The heart feels burdened without knowing why. Burden reveals distance from alignment. The risk of letting the moment pass is not that truth disappears, but that the heart becomes less responsive to it. Responsiveness must be exercised. Each response strengthens capacity. Each neglect weakens it. The moment matters because it trains the heart how to listen. Holding the message does not mean grasping it tightly, but allowing it to remain without being rushed into meaning. The heart receives something subtle that does not yet explain itself. This subtlety asks for patience rather than interpretation. When the heart resists naming too quickly, depth is preserved. What unfolds slowly settles more deeply. Holding creates space for clarity to mature. The message often arrives incomplete, not because it lacks content, but because the heart is not yet quiet enough to receive it fully. Quiet does not come through force. It comes through willingness to remain present. Remaining prevents distortion. Distortion arises when the heart rushes to conclude. Holding protects the message from being reduced. The heart learns that meaning ripens through attention, not analysis. Analysis dissects, while attention nourishes. Nourishment allows the message to expand naturally. Expansion reveals layers previously unseen. The heart becomes receptive to nuance. Nuance carries truth gently. Holding the message requires trust in timing. Timing is not controlled by effort, it responds to readiness. Readiness grows through stillness. Stillness invites alignment. Alignment allows the message to reveal itself without pressure. The heart often fears that holding will create confusion. In reality, confusion arises from haste. Haste fragments perception. Holding integrates perception gradually. Integration brings coherence. Coherence feels stable without certainty. The heart learns to rest in this stability. When the message is held, it begins to interact with lived experience. Daily moments illuminate its meaning subtly. The heart notices connections without forcing them. Forcing would distort recognition. Recognition appears quietly through resonance. Resonance confirms truth without argument. Holding allows the message to reshape perception rather than remain an idea. Ideas sit on the surface. Perception lives beneath. The heart senses when perception begins to shift. This shift feels organic. Holding sustains this transformation. The message opens fully when resistance dissolves. Resistance appears as impatience. Impatience demands resolution. Resolution too early closes depth. Holding honors mystery. Mystery preserves vitality. The heart matures by respecting what it cannot yet define. The heart learns to distinguish between holding and suppressing. Suppression pushes away. Holding remains close without tension. This closeness allows warmth. Warmth softens resistance. Softness invites understanding. Understanding unfolds naturally. Holding the message keeps it alive. What is ignored fades. What is forced fractures. What is held remains intact. Intact meaning can deepen. The heart safeguards the message through gentle attention. Attention becomes its shelter. The message opens through lived alignment rather than conceptual clarity. As the heart aligns inwardly, insight appears. Insight does not arrive as conclusion, it arrives as recognition. Recognition feels obvious once present. Holding prepared the ground. The heart realizes that some meanings cannot be owned. Ownership restricts. Holding allows relationship without possession. Relationship deepens intimacy. Intimacy reveals truth without domination. The heart participates rather than controls. Holding the message allows it to inform action without dictating it. Action emerges organically. Organic movement carries less strain. Strain belongs to uncertainty. Certainty grows quietly through presence. Presence guides without instruction. The heart learns that meaning opens differently at different moments. What was unclear yesterday becomes evident today. This change does not result from effort. It results from continued openness. Holding keeps openness alive. The message often opens through silence. Silence removes interference. Interference obscures subtlety. Without interference, meaning breathes. Breathing gives life. The heart receives life rather than information. Holding requires humility. Humility accepts partial knowing. Partial knowing feels uncomfortable to certainty-seeking minds. Yet humility preserves depth. Depth reveals itself only to patience. The heart grows through restraint. The message opens as the heart's capacity expands. Capacity expands through lived presence. Presence reshapes inner space. Space accommodates meaning without compression. Compression distorts. Holding prevents compression. The heart senses when the message has opened fully. This opening does not announce itself. It feels complete without closure. Completion here does not end inquiry. It stabilizes orientation. The heart moves forward naturally. Holding the message does not isolate the heart from others. It refines relationship by grounding interaction in clarity. Clarity reduces projection. Reduced projection improves connection. Holding supports sincerity. The message opens when the heart no longer demands answers. Demand tightens attention. Release loosens it. Loosened attention allows insight to surface. Insight feels earned without effort. Holding made this possible. Holding the message until it opens fully is an act of trust. Trust that meaning knows how to reveal itself. The heart learns to wait without delay, to stay without grasping. What opens in this way does not fade. It becomes part of how the heart sees, moves, and remains present. What has been offered was never meant to hurry you, only to make you aware. The quiet message does not arrive to disturb the heart, but to align it before movement hardens into habit. When attention is given at the right moment, direction reshapes without struggle. If something within you recognized what was spoken, allow that recognition to remain without forcing it into action. Not every truth asks to be acted upon immediately. Some ask only to be honored. What is noticed sincerely continues to guide even in silence. Do not rush past what has touched you here. The heart that learns to listen before it reacts walks a path shaped by clarity rather than noise, and the message that is not ignored becomes the wisdom that quietly carries you forward.